Furkan Satıroğlu, and this is tutorial 2 for business analytics. This session moves from problem framing into the measurement. I would open by saying that descriptive analytics may look simple, but it is a foundation of everything else. If the basic numbers are unclear, or later diagnosis, prediction, and decision-making will be weak. In plain terms, if we measure badly, we decide badly. I would tell students that many business problems are not caused by a lack of data. They are caused by poor definition, inconsistent reporting, or dashboards that look impressive but don't support action. A practical example is a customer retention. Two teams may report different numbers simply because they define inactive customers in different ways. That creates confusion before analysis has even started. So this section is really about turning raw data into the shared business meaning. However, it is important to check the soft elements. That is why descriptive analytics deserves serious attention rather than being treated as an easy part. I'm hoping in the section of the descriptive analytics section, some of the recap and metrics critique, data to decision pipeline, again, soft and hard discussions, three technique drills, mini case, and +3 debrief. On this slide, I would explain the lesson structure and connect it to the previous tutorial. Last time students framed the problem. This time they are learning how data becomes a usable metric. I would tell them that tutorial is designed to build good habits, checking definition, questioning data quality, and comparing numbers properly. I would highlight the learning outcome in very practical language. By the end of this slides, they should be able to critique a KPI spot, a weak dashboard, and explain why a descriptive view needs context. For example, saying average waiting time is 7 minutes is not enough on its own. We need to ask 7 minutes compared to what, or for whom, and over what period. This is also a good place to set expectations. Students do not need to become statisticians in this session. The aim is to become more disciplined in how they interpret and present everyday business data into the actionable and arrange kind of background for making decision. Data to decision. It's a pipeline. And I would explain that descriptive analytics is a pipeline rather than a screenshot. Students often think the task is to make a dashboard, but the real world begins earlier. We need to source the data, clean it, define the metric, choose an appropriate chart, and then connect the result to the business decision. I would use a simple professional example, such as hospital waiting times or website conversion. A chart may show a monthly average, but unless we know how the measure was defined and whether the data is complete, the chart can mislead. This is why descriptive analytics is not just visual display. It's a process of making evidence trustworthy and useful. A relevant theory point is information quality. Accuracy, timely, and relevant information supports better decision. So I would encourage students to see dashboard as a final communication layer, not the entire analytical job. So we can ask which stage creates the most, we can ask this question to students, which stage creates the most hidden risk in your context? Collection, cleaning, metric definition, or interpretation? Hard and soft elements in this slide, let us reinforce the balance between hard and soft elements. On the hard side, students need to think about the data type, frequency, granularity, denominators, and filters, because these are the data, isn't it? So descriptive analytics is using these elements, these hard elements. On the soft side, they need to think about who will use the metrics and how they interpret it. I would explain that KPI is never neutral in practice. Once a number is reported, it shapes behavior. A sales target may push teams to improve performance, but it may also encourage gaming if people feel measured unfairly. That is why communication and trust matter, even in descriptive analytics. A useful teaching example, it could be an average call handling time in customer service. It looks objective, but staff may rush calls if the metric is used badly. I would tell students to ask 2 questions together. Is this metric technically sound? And what behavior might it encourage? That combination is what make analytics teaching or more realistic. Descriptive statistics in the context could be seen or only become useful when they are interpreted in the context. An average total percentage on its own doesn't tell a full story. I would encourage students to compare every number against a target, a previous period, and where possible across segments. For example, average basket value of 20 pounds may sound acceptable, but the meaning changes if last month it was 24. Or if one customer segment is much stronger than another. This is a good point to remind students not to over-celebrate simple summarize. In professional work, managers often ask for quick headline numbers, but strong analysts add the comparison that makes the number meaningful. Theory can be introduced lightly here through benchmarking and variance analysis. The basic message is that descriptive statistics are not just about computing a number, they are about interpreting difference, direction, and business relevance. Data quality check. This slide presents, and I would like to present, one of the most important professional habits in analytics. Before debating insight, we should ask whether the data is complete, consistent, timely, and plausible. I would give a simple example. If a retailer suddenly reports a large fall in online sales that may look like a business issue, but it could also be broken tracking tag or delayed upload. In that case, the problem is not customer demand, but the data capture. Students need to learn that poor quality data creates false confidence. A dashboard can look polished and still be wrong. I would therefore teach a simple quality scorecard, missing values, duplicate records, strange outliers, inconsistent definitions, and unusual time gaps. This doesn't require advanced software knowledge, it requires discipline. In practice, experience analysts often save organizations from bad decisions simply by spotting weak data early. Segmentation, cohorts, and Pareto analysis. Here, I would like to explain why segmentation matters. One overall average can hide very different patterns. This is where students start to see the limits of single summary numbers. I would use practical example such as customer churn. The overall churn rate may look stable, but when broken down by age, location, or service package, one group may be driven the problem, or one group may be driving the problem. The same idea applies to operations. A delivery business may appear to be a target, while one region or time slot performs badly. Cohort thinking is also useful because it allows groups over time rather than mixing everyone together. Pareto logic, on the other hand, can help students to see a small number of causes, products, or customers often explain a large of rest of the groups or outcomes. I would keep it simple and avoid turning this into the statistic lecture. The key teaching point is that better segmentation often creates better diagnosis and more targeted action. I would use this activity to test whether students can move beyond the decorative dashboard. The task asks them to identify vanity metrics, a quality risk, and missing the segmentation view. This is very useful because it teaches critics, not just description. In the brief, I would ask why metric is in vanity metric. Usually the answer is that it looks positive but doesn't help a decision. I would also what disclaimer should sit next to the dashboard. This is important because real professionals often need to communicate limits as well as results. I will close the session by reminding students that good descriptive analytics is not about producing more charts, it's about producing clearer measures, stronger comparisons, and more honest interpretations. Let's set up the next tutorial, because once students understand what happened properly, they are ready to ask why it happened. Thank you for listening.